Hey,
Hey,
what's up?
how's it going?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
Where are you at right now?
I am, well, man, back at home, Northwest Indiana, but just hanging out outside. So let me know if you can't hear because I don't know what the sound's like out
I
here.
can hear
So,
you fine. So,
sweet. But yeah,
so
just hanging out back at home right now.
how's the weather?
It's actually starting to look a little look decent. The last few days have been pretty rough, but today was nice, and I think we're finally starting to get out of the weather. So awesome.
Finally, the nice weather's coming in.
Yeah, yep, for sure. Northwest Indiana and a little bit, I guess, Chicagoland. I guess it's bipolar. So, but no, it's nice. So, enjoying that.
Good. All right, guys. Welcome back to another Footy and Coffee Conversations. Are you a coffee drinker?
I am. Yeah, I don't have my choice of coffee right now, but I'm working with a little Starbucks blonde right now. So,
I used to
using
be a
that.
barista at Starbucks. So,
Mm,
shout
right
out to the
on.
Bucks.
Right on.
What's
Yeah, yeah.
your choice? Ultimate
Um,
coffee.
I'm usually I usually shoot for a cold brew, but um, cold brew or a nitro. So obviously whatever's on tap over there, I'll take that. But yeah, so
That big caffeine hit.
yeah, that's what I need. So
I hear you. All
yeah,
right, just to get started, if you want to introduce yourself, say what club you're playing for currently
yeah,
and what position.
yeah. So my name's Bay Kurtz. Currently playing for Stumptown Athletic in Charlotte, North Carolina, and um, playing as a right fullback slash right winger. So yeah,
And sometimes in a new league, the NISA.
yep, Nisa League.
That's how many teams are in it now? Is it eight?
Abe, I think they're adding a couple, so yeah, so 10 or 11 maybe come
Okay.
come the fall season. So I know they just announced the cancellation of the spring, so I don't know if your teams are going to jump in, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So when does the fall season start game wise?
It's well, this I don't know if they have everything set yet. It's supposed to start sometime in August. I think they're still waiting to see how everything happens with obviously the virus, and they'll kind of go from there. But yeah.
You guys might be one of the best prepared leagues in that sense, since you're not trying to necessarily rush and get games going in the next
Yeah,
couple
right.
weeks. You know.
For sure, yeah. So, but no, it's exciting times. I think for the league. Obviously, a lot of things. They're trying to do a lot of good things, and trying to create a lot of opportunities for players. So, no, it's exciting times for sure.
Absolutely. All right. So you mentioned you're from Indiana. If you want to
Yep.
just give us a little background on youth career,
Yeah,
what
yeah,
clubs you ended up playing for.
for sure. I'm gonna do my best to make it short. There's a lot of. I was kind of writing some stuff down, and I just realized like my career has been crazy all over the place. So I'll try and
Yeah,
keep
you
stuff.
bounced around a bit.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's been quite the roller coaster ride, but I mean, like nonetheless, it's been an amazing journey, and I wouldn't change anything. So, but anyway, started off playing for just a um, local rec team, Lakes of Four Seasons Soccer Club, when I was 4. When I was 6, so I always played like a year or two up. But when I was 6, my dad, he was a coach at the time, but he noticed, or he'd found out about like Premier Travel Soccer. So he took me and a couple guys from that team, and we jumped over, and he started a team here in Northwest Indiana called MSA Fire, and we competed in the ISL, Indiana Soccer League, and we played MRL. So I played for my dad from age 16 to 14, which
And he was a soccer player himself, correct?
he played soccer. He played for I think he played for a D3 team in Texas, Lamar University. But he's from Georgia. Grew up kind of in like a football family, and so then we moved to Michigan, started playing soccer, and got into it then. So, but yeah. So I think a lot of things that I've learned though, like definitely contributed to him bringing me up over the years. So
Yeah, that's it's different than most of us who had parents that coached us and knew nothing about the sport.
right. Yeah. No, I was pretty fortunate, and obviously still even to this day, like, I mean, he plays a big part in I mean, we talk about the game all the time, talking about positioning, talking about tactics, talking about, just how to sharpen, my tools and what to bring to the game. So, no, he's an awesome dude, awesome resource to have. So,
Absolutely. So then you're playing youth like that. You're seeing improvement, I'm guessing, from your skill set. What makes you decide to make a jump to bigger clubs?
yeah. So, um, so let's see, I was 14, 13, 14. I started going through the ODP system, um, and so this is kind of a transitional point. Had made the ODP state team for Indiana, went to the camp, didn't make the region team, came back the second year, made the region team. And so I started getting a taste of I ended up going to, went to Florida for the interregional little tournament that they have, and then I ended up going to Italy with the Region 2 team. So I started getting a taste for some quality football, and I think from there I was like, what else is out there? My dad and I were definitely pushing the envelope. I told him at age 10, I was like, I want to do everything I can to make it to the pro level. So he's like, all right, well, let's do it. So yeah, I guess come age 14, getting ready to go into high school, I found out about academy soccer. Found out Chicago Fire was hosting they had like an open tryout. I think Benji was talking about this a little bit too. Literally went through the same process that he did. Went to this big open tryout, and just made the cuts. But yeah, I think the biggest thing for me was like, how can I put myself in a position to where I'm challenged, where I'm going to be exposed to higher level training. There's going to be more eyes watching me, and I felt like me and my dad we discussed a lot, just like what would be that route. I think we took it, so to the best of our
Yeah.
ability, at least.
How far was the drive for you to fire
So,
practice?
so yeah, to fire, about an hour. Yeah, about
Okay.
an hour.
So
Guess it
not too
depends on.
bad.
Yeah, I guess it depends on how fast we were cruising, but yeah, it's about an hour. I drove up with Christian Lamelli, um, quite, pretty frequently. So yeah, so it was nice to have someone from the area that was also
Absolutely.
heading up there. But yeah, no, great times at Chicago Fire. So
Yeah, and you have a lot of success there. And then you go from Chicago Fire and then you play somewhere else for one season, go back.
yeah,
What's the reasoning with that?
yeah. So that was another crazy jump. So when I was at Fire, was doing really well. Was playing a good majority of the games. Had gotten a concussion, and that put me out for about a month and a half. And so came back, and kind of finished out the few more of the games, and then ended up leaving just due to some personal reasons, and found out about Real Salt Lake in Arizona. Checked it out. They wanted me to come down, and they wanted to bring me in. So went there for 6 months. I went there. So this was kind of when the whole academy was starting to figure out if they wanted to let players play high school and do all that. I actually ended up playing my sophomore year of high school at Crown Point in Indiana, and played. Had a successful season. We ended up winning the state championship that year, and then made the move down to Arizona to play for Real Salt Lake. And then this is where it all kind of bounces around a little bit. But anyways, I ended up playing Chicago Fire down at playoffs down in Texas, and it's pretty funny. And got to see some familiar faces. But anyways, I guess there was a discrepancy between me living within radius of Chicago Fire here in Indiana and playing for Real Salt Lake, so had to come back. So
Yeah, what was the experience like then moving at such a young age for football? Obviously that shows a level of commitment to you, but that's also I'm sure challenging at a younger age to not be, around all friends and family.
Yeah. I think, yeah, it was definitely a big move, and there were some huge takeaways, like lessons that I learned when I was there. But I think um, where I got that itch to just kind of move away, and I was okay with it, was when I had gone to Italy with the ODP team, and there was guys that were getting contacted by um, some European clubs over there, and I was like, oh, I totally want to do this. So when I had the opportunity to move away, and it was going to be, I was going to get the residency program, so I was going to be living with the team. I had full access to a top of the line training facility. I was like, it's a no brainer for me if I want to take my game to the next level. So it was tough to obviously step away from family and friends, but I think I realized the sacrifice that I was going to take, and thought it was worth it. So
Yeah, so there's some discrepancies with the radius of distance living. You have to go back to Chicago Fire. At that point, are you already looking at colleges? Do you have those narrowed down to what your choices are at the time? What's your thought process going forward?
yeah, so I was having quite a bit of success when I was at Real Salt Lake. I was talking to a few I guess top programs in the U.S. and was talking to Notre Dame. Was talking to um, University of Washington, and was kind of narrowing down on some of these schools, and because they were coming down to Real Salt Lake quite a bit. And anyways, when I made the move back to Chicago Fire, those were a few teams that I was, a few schools that I was really looking hard at. And there's actually a moment in time though where I was trying to decide if I wanted to go the college route or if I wanted to move overseas and go to Europe. So actually, there was a bit of time where I was talking to, I guess he was an agent in France. This was my freshman and sophomore year. So a lot of these things were kind of in my mind, trying to figure out which route I wanted to go. Ended up talking to a college coach who had gone through that whole process as a player and was like, but the best advice I can give you is go get your degree and then kind of see where football takes you from there. So I ended up going that route. Um,
Any regrets on that?
um, it's hard to say because I'm extremely grateful for the lessons just as a person that I've
Mm-hmm.
learned, you know, between that time and where I'm at now, and just kind of where life has taken me. Um, I don't know if see. I think it's a huge risk, obviously, to go if you're going to go overseas to go play for a pro academy, youth pro academy team. You take a big risk because if something happens to you, what's the next move? So, but I do think if you're in an environment where um, you're being challenged every day, you have top level coaches, eyes on you, from age. Obviously, they go pretty young overseas, but in my case, if I would have been 15, 16, 17 in a youth academy system, I think there's some big opportunity that could be had there if the player is willing to step up to the occasion and take hold of the opportunity. So I don't know if I have any regrets. I definitely wish I would have maybe entertained it a little bit more, maybe gone a year over to Europe and check some things out, just kind of see where it took me. But I guess I kind of did that when I went to Real Salt Lake, went away for a little
Yeah,
bit, came back.
it's
So
it's it's one of those where, in kind of my opinion, is if everything goes right, it's a much better route for football to go,
right,
right away to one of those situations and skip college. But if things
for
go
sure.
wrong, which far too often they do, it
Right.
seems like the college route is the better option with the degree at the end. So it's
Yeah,
definitely a tough decision.
it is, and yeah, it is. But yeah, like I said, I'm grateful for how things have played out, and um, yeah, just keep enjoying the journey, I guess.
So how do you land on the at the university you first went to?
Yeah. So, anyways, the so I ended up going to Liberty University for 3 semesters, but for my first 3 semesters. So kind of backtrack to academy. I was junior playing for Chicago Fire. We played in playoffs. The schools that had been talking to and looking at, kind of lost communication with them. Going into my senior year, didn't have a school to go to. My dad and I started talking, and he had found out that actually University of Virginia, UVA, was having an ID camp the first week of August. And he's like, all right. He's like, do we go? I was like, yeah, let's do it. So we went, did the ID camp, and while I was there, had found out about Liberty University that was about an hour away. So we went to visit, and we checked it out and stuff. So interesting. Basically, it came down to deciding between Virginia and Liberty. I was offered a spot at Virginia, but because of just financial reasons, it made more sense for me to go with Liberty at the time. So that's kind of how that happened, and that was, I couldn't really. Again, it's one of those things that you just can't really describe or explain, how things happen. I think it was a God thing that it happened the way it happened. But, yeah. So, anyways, I ended up getting a call from the Liberty coach while I was in Virginia, or coming back from Virginia that summer. And he's like, we want to bring you out on an official visit. I checked it out, loved the school. So, and then ended up at Liberty University. So.
Yeah, and you started a fair number of games your freshman year.
Yeah.
Got playing time right away.
Yep.
So obviously was playing well. What position were they putting you in?
Yeah, so I was played a little bit of winger, a little like 7-11. Actually, a few games played up top.
Oh wow.
So yeah. So that was that was a good time though. I had a lot of fun with that. So
What leads you to the decision then to move on from Liberty?
So knowing the experience that I had at the ID camp and the connection that I kind of made with the coaches down there, there was a point in time at Liberty where I felt like I was maybe plateauing a little bit, and UVA was just coming off of a national championship in 2014, and I was like, you know what? I was getting a little comfortable. I think I needed to step out of my comfort zone. I felt like I needed to just maybe be in a different environment. So, and I felt like it would be a good opportunity. So, asked for my release and ended up transferring to Virginia, just based on the fact that it was a good opportunity both academically and on the football side of things. So,
Is that decision based also on your desire to go professional?
Yeah, I would say so. I think UVA, it puts out quite a bit of professional players, so and a lot of top level players go through there. So I figured, being in that environment with those kind of players would be the best environment for me to be in. So
Absolutely. Reed is saying, Matt, Bay's facial hair is classy. Yours is wild beast. Trim that up.
yeah, that's funny.
Reed's clearly never been to Finland. He's never
Yeah,
experienced the Viking look
the
before.
Vikings. Yeah, I respect it. I can only go about maybe 4 weeks before it drives me nuts, and then I'm trimming it off.
So
How
you
long? How long is that for you? How long is that going?
so I trimmed it a couple weeks ago, but it's been like 2.5 months now.
Not bad. Not bad.
So Sweden's close, Reed, but it's not Finland.
Yeah.
You guys actually get warmer weather in the summer.
Do they?
So you transfer to Virginia. Obviously, Liberty's a good program, but Virginia is
Yeah.
one of the best in the country.
Right.
Is there an adjustment period for you? Is it difficult at first, or do you come in kind of ready to go?
Yeah, there's definitely like a little bit of an adjustment period. I don't think it took me too long. I think. I mean, I came in the spring and felt like maybe within about a month. Obviously, you have the 4 weeks of fitness that you're doing with the guys before the beginning of the spring season, and getting a few inter squad matches in. But yeah, I think it was probably more so trying to figure out what position I was going to be playing there. So I actually went into Virginia looking to play the 8 or the 10. Ended up coming in as like a 6 or a fullback, or ended up playing as a 6 or a fullback later on. But yeah, so there was a little bit of an adjustment period, but yeah, I don't think it took more than a month and a half, and felt like I was gelling pretty quick. So
what's your experience like at Virginia?
yeah, it was. I mean, like I said, playing with top guys. I mean, there's a handful of guys right now that I played with in 2016 that are playing pro, in different places. So obviously a great experience on that, and just the just the mentality of guys that are so hungry to make it and come from a bunch of different backgrounds. I mean, we had at one point at Virginia, we had 17 different countries represented on our team. So
Wow.
you get guys from all over. And you get that at other schools too, don't get me wrong. I mean, there's a handful of different cultures or different backgrounds at Liberty. But yeah, just on that end of it, it was a pretty cool experience. But pretty challenging though. Obviously, the academics of Virginia are pretty tough, and so to try and balance the academics and the footy side of things was a challenge. But yeah, on the soccer side, it was awesome playing in the ACC, playing against top talent in the country. I mean, at one point I think we went 10 games undefeated, and I think we went 13 games total undefeated at home in
Not bad.
2006. What's that?
Not bad.
Yeah, no, not bad. So I mean, and especially in front of the fans at Klockner at UVA is something like super special to be a part of. So that was just an awesome experience just to get to taste that. That level was a cool experience for me.
Any
What did Reed say? Lang from LAU. I don't think I know. I don't know if I know Lang. Anyways,
any regrets of not going to Virginia right away? Do you think Liberty kind of prepared you for that, that intermediate step from, Fire to Virginia, or do you regret
yeah, no,
not starting right away?
that's a great question. So again, it's one of these things where, and I think about it from time to time. What would have been a better route for me to go straight to Virginia in 2014? Yeah, that one's tough because I have a lot of really close friends from Liberty that I'm still really keep in touch with, and I think I learned a lot about myself on a faith level. I was around a lot of solid people, so it's tough to say. I mean, yeah, it would have been interesting, I think, to see what would have happened if I would have gone to Virginia in 2014. It would have been more of a risk, I think, financially, just because of the scholarship situation and stuff, and being out of state and all that. That would have been pretty tough. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have any regrets. But yeah, who knows? I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah. I have to think too, maybe it's good in the sense of being at Liberty too. You get to, not as rigorous academics, kind of get a feeling for what's that with the balance of college soccer as well too before going into Virginia. And then you come in as an
Right.
upperclassman to Virginia. You're probably a little bit more confident and settled in kind of your routines.
Yeah. No, I think so, and I think that giving the just with how things kind of bounced around in my youth career, I think it was maybe good for me to come into Liberty and just kind of gain some confidence coming into it. And that was actually one thing that the coaches at Virginia had told me when I went to the ID camp was, like, the biggest thing for for you and for other players is to be is to be playing. So
Mm-hmm.
they're like, if you can be playing your first couple of years of college and kind of get that confidence and get your feet going, he's like, that's usually what will set players apart in that regard. So, and I think that's what happened. Like you said, I mean, I was got to start a handful of games at Liberty. Got to play a lot of games at Liberty. I dealt with a few injuries here and there, but yeah, on that end, felt like confidence was up. So I think that's when I decided to make the jump.
Yeah, and so yeah, Virginia's a great school. You have success there.
Yep.
Obviously, the team has success,
Yep.
and then you end up one more time making a switch to universities. Do you want
Yeah.
to tell us
Yeah.
that
So
story?
yeah. So this is actually, I think, the has probably been the biggest highlight of my, I guess, my football career. So coming out of 2016, had I felt like a pretty solid season. Obviously with UVA. Going into the spring season 2017, I broke my ankle pretty bad uh, in a scrimmage, or just an inter squad scrimmage, and was out for 6 months with that. So came back, um, came back from that, and thank God, like everything, the ankle was felt good, but just the timing of things, I didn't come back until maybe mid fall season. So I figured it would be best to take a medical red shirt that season. Um, and so, anyways, it was a tough decision to make on whether or not I wanted to stay at Virginia or switch to UNLV. Um, and I gave it everything I had to try and stay at Virginia because I wanted to start a master's there and everything. But I also wanted to try and pursue pursue a pro career. And I felt like in the conversation I had with Coach George, he was like, "Look, again, you need to be playing." And he's like, "I don't know if you're going to be playing much, in 2018." So he kind of gave me the green light to explore some other options. And yeah, UNLV ended up being like one of the only schools where everything worked out on the academic side of things. They were looking for a player. Yeah, so it just kind of worked out. And you know what? My has jumped around enough as it is. I was like, I might as well just add another little chapter to the story.
Yeah,
Um,
when you get injured, are you at all thinking maybe professional soccer isn't in the cards for you?
um, no, that actually didn't cross my mind at all. I was, you hear about different athletes. Obviously, they're in at the professional level, but they get hurt and they keep working to make it back, to make it stronger. And my mindset was like, look, I mean, if I can come back from this, I'm gonna keep going. I think it made me appreciate the game a lot more. Just
Mm-hmm.
being able to go out, run, knock the ball around. Um, but and I don't want to say took my competitiveness down a notch, but I just learned to appreciate, just the opportunity for what it was, and just kind of went with whatever happened from there. So I mean, yeah, I don't think it was ever necessarily out of the picture that I'd go pro. Um, but I think I just enjoyed it. I was at a time where I was getting frustrated by a lot of things for some reason. It just didn't make sense. Like I was playing well, but maybe I was splitting time with a player at the time, and I was getting frustrated about that. And it just kind of took me down a notch. And I saw a few things and opened my eyes to a few different things, and yeah, changed my perspective. But to be honest, I think it the way I approached the game after that, I played with so much more freedom and didn't play kind of restricted. I think like I was maybe at one point. So, but yeah,
Yeah,
no,
nothing like losing something to humble in a sense and also make you
at,
appreciate it a lot more.
mm,
So I
that's,
I I understand that for sure.
yeah, yeah. I mean, to go from like learning how to walk again to using my left foot again, like it was crazy. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I remember that when I did my knee and all. It's
What
very humbling with it all.
what did you do?
I did a hairline fracture on my knee, dislocated it, tore my ACL and both meniscus. So
Man,
a little bit of everything.
man, you did a work on it.
I did work on it. Unfortunately, was not able to come back from it. That's
No,
what caused my retirement early. But
gotcha.
I'm glad you came back. So you go to UNLV. It's your senior year.
Yep.
Um, how did that
Yeah.
year go for you?
Yeah. So actually, it was so I graduated from UVA. So I
Yeah,
was
sorry, it's like your
yeah,
red
yeah,
shirt
yeah,
senior,
yeah, red
whatever.
shirt. Yeah, go, last year. Um, so go to UNLV, and so after playing wing back, the six fullback at Virginia, I came in to UNLV, which beautiful, beautiful like pitch, the background, everything like awesome. Um, but in West Coast soccer is a little bit different than actually a lot different than it is on the East Coast. And so took a little bit maybe adjusting to that. Like I had experienced it a little bit when I played at Real Salt Lake, and I remember that I enjoyed it. But still just maybe a little bit getting adjusted to that new team and everything. So came in, started a master's, was obviously really focused on making the most of that opportunity to try and make it to the pro level from there. And I ended up playing the 7 and the 11 for the majority of the season. Um, so again, it was another challenge, another uncomfortable, environment that I knew I was putting myself in. But I figured that there was going to be some takeaways that, from that experience that I was going to be able to take to the next level. So again, kind of going back to your question, was pro ever a doubt? I think I in my mind, I thought every opportunity that I have is going to contribute in some way, getting me to some level, or at least the next level above whatever that looked like. So
Absolutely. So you, I guess technically you graduate, you finish at UNLV. You don't
yeah,
have, you've used all your athletic
yeah,
semesters out. Um, what's then your route to professional soccer? Are you looking at playing in the U.S. to start? How do you decide
yeah.
where your
So
first contract is?
so I was definitely looking in the U.S. At one point. I'd gone on went to a few closed invitational tryouts with a couple of USL teams, Pittsburgh and Memphis, and had great felt like I had a good show, and it was a great experience. But just given the numbers and the positions they were looking for, things didn't work out there. So there was a waiting period where I wasn't sure kind of where I was going to go. And then this is where, again, the story kind of comes back around. But the connection that I made with with one of my coaches at UNLV, knew a guy who knew an agent slash former player who played over in Australia. We got connected, and luckily the team, the Olympia FC that I ended up playing for in NPL Taz, they were looking for a fullback. For a fullback. So it ended up working out, and that happened within like 2 weeks, and I was packing my bags, heading out to Tasmania. So that was pretty wild.
Yeah, the all too common occurrence. You get the call and they're like, "We need you here this Saturday," and you're
Right,
flying
exactly.
halfway across the world.
Yeah. It's I mean, that's the life of a footballer, maybe at a little bit lower levels, but yeah. So
Absolutely. What's your experience like in Australia?
yeah. So I mean, the country itself, beautiful country. The football is definitely it's more of a grindy type football. There's definitely some extremely talented players, technically, but in MPL Taz, it's physical. Like there's plenty of times where like there's probably a few brawls that almost broke out, on the pitch. So, anyways, I think ACC probably helped me prepare for that just because of how guys in the ACC are it's big, physical, it's strong. There's some good footy that's played, but like for the most part, it's pretty athletic. So that prepared me for that. But yeah, no, got to play with a couple guys from the UK, solid players, and yeah, I mean it was NPL Taz is probably the smallest
Mm-hmm.
one of the smallest leagues in Australia. So I was hoping to get a taste of um, the mainland leagues. Um, didn't, but from what I heard, those were like that was where you wanted to be. But again, great experience at Olympia. Like the yeah, great experience. So
Yeah. I know a couple guys that have played for that team in the past, but yeah, as
yeah,
Nico was on here a couple weeks ago, and he
okay,
was talking about he started in the Taz League and then
yeah,
moved into mainland. But
yeah.
at the end of the year, did you consider trying to go on trials with any mainland teams
I
or?
did. I did. Yeah. That was kind of my goal that I had was to kind of move on from MPL to I was trying to find a mainland team and had a few tryouts lined up, but ended up falling through. So that didn't work out. So that's kind of how I ended up back in the U.S. But yeah, I mean, nonetheless, Olympia was a great stepping stone for me. And again, it was one of those things where I was going to get to come in and play and get some good game time in and build some confidence up. I will say though, it was the kind of the laugh was that I ended up playing every position at Olympia at one point.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah. So that was and again, like I didn't go there wanting to play every position. But I think as a player, you have to learn to adapt to, you know, just different environments. And if a coach needs you, like, I mean, some guys might be like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to play. Like, I'm only going to play this spot. But I saw it I saw it as just an opportunity to maybe learn a new position, see the game in the field from a different spot. Um, yeah, so I actually I think that helped me in a lot of ways. I maybe didn't get to like focus in on one position, um, which may have hindered me moving the to the mainland potentially, because teams might have been looking for you know a specific spot,
Right.
you know, drilling in certain skill sets. But in the grand scheme of things, just as an overall player, I think I learned a lot from that. So
Yeah,
definitely
100%.
kept going.
You play a different position, then you start understanding where that person, when you're back in your normal position, wants to get the ball from you and what they're thinking and seeing. The more
Mm,
you can play somewhere
exactly.
other than your position. So
Yeah, exactly.
you come back to the U.S. and then tell us about this contract, how you discover this team, everything.
Yeah. So there was talk about the NISA League when when I was over in Tasmania, and didn't really know anything about it. To be honest, at first was like not really interested in it. I just because I heard it was a new startup league, and you know, just was like, oh, if I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna try and shoot for USL. Um, but anyways, came back and started hearing had a few conversations with a few players, agents, and coaches, and they were talking pretty highly about the level of NISA. Um, and so, anyway, started considering a little bit more. Well, ended up, and again, everything just kind of came back around full circle. But a friendship that I had at Liberty University with, she was on the women's team. She was down coaching um, in Charlotte, and she happened to be. I think she had coached with the head coach of Stumptown at one point for Charlotte Eagles for the women's team, and she messaged me. She was like, "Hey, babe, like I know this coach. Can I give you his contact, or can I connect you guys?" And I said, "Sure." Sure enough, I got a call from the coach. And ironically, I was down in North Carolina at the time, and he was like, "Hey, we're having a tryout. If you want to, come check it out for a day." feel free to. I was like, yeah, absolutely. So I jumped on that opportunity, and right after that, they wanted to sign me. So I think it was a blessing in disguise, to be honest, because it ended up being, I think I was surrounded by some pretty great, back 2 months ago before all this happened, surrounded by some pretty solid guys, some really good players from different international backgrounds again, and different MLS, you have MLS experience, you have European experience. So, it was a good setup, I felt like, and then obviously all this happened. But yeah, again, how I got to Stumptown, just another, one of those things. I was searching for teams. I was emailing teams and coaches and people that I knew that might have had some connections, because I don't have an agent. So kind of was trying to do things on my own, and sure enough, just that opportunity pops up out of nowhere. So I was pretty grateful for
Can't
that.
hate that.
No, definitely not. So
All right, so now we're gonna get into some questions.
yeah,
So first one I want to know is you've been listed on a couple people's roster for their five-a-side plus a goalkeeper at Bridges Training.
yeah,
I'm curious to hear what your team would be.
yeah. So thought about this one, and I guess it depends on if we're is there a mandatory female player on the team or no? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
It's your team, man.
It's my team.
You just have
Well,
to answer in the DMs you get for what the roster
yeah,
choice is.
right, for sure. Well, I will say the guys that I thought of, and I might actually be calling a few back out of retirement. But for one, Mike Catalano, I'd be pulling him back. We played in a few indoor tournaments together too, and we always connect pretty well, I feel like. So just a freaking unit.
He's a
And
tank.
yeah, he's a tank, and he's an engine, and he's got some great feet. So I usually enjoy playing with him. Devin, this is Amu Mensa. I
Yeah.
think yeah. He's, for me, probably one of the most solid guys in the back that I've played with at Bridges, and technically sound, and yeah, he's, in my opinion, he's solid in the back line. So take him. I'm gonna pick up Cody Lobseger.
Okay.
He's a local region guy. Like, we grew up playing together, so we have that connection going for us. I'd take Kaz. Can't go wrong with Kaz. He's just
Yeah.
dynamite.
I like that choice. I'm
Yep.
biased though as his coach, but I like
Yeah.
that choice.
That's all right. Let's see. Then, so I only got to play with this guy once or twice back in 2016. But from what I remember, absolute baller. And he's all over the pitch. But Chris Ramirez,
Oh
uh,
yeah, that's a great choice.
yeah, and I haven't seen too many people. I haven't seen anybody actually pick him. Maybe I've missed one, but no, he solid player, and I think he'd add a lot to the team. So, yeah, and
Yeah, I
then
used to play with him back in Sweden. That's another
yeah,
good choice. He's
yeah.
a nuisance. He's a nuisance to
Oh
try to
man,
defend.
just the dude buzzes. He's just everywhere. But yeah, no, solid player. Let's see, how many is that? That's three.
That's four.
That's four.
So probably like I don't know, maybe a goalie and someone else.
Yeah, keeper. Probably gonna take. I'm gonna bring Brett Johnson out
Okay.
of. Yeah, I'm gonna bring him out of retirement. Or, to be honest, Jeff Roy pulls out some pretty crazy saves every once in a while.
He surprises me.
Yeah, yeah, he can pull some out. So, but no, probably Brett.
That's a good squad. I like it.
Yeah.
I
So,
like it. Crystal asked, "What's your proudest soccer moment?"
proudest soccer moment. Let's see. I have a couple, but I. So I had the opportunity when I came back and played my senior year of high school. I ended up not playing academy that year, and played high school with my younger brother. He was a freshman. I was a senior. We ended up going on to win the state championship. We went undefeated that year, and we both scored in the championship game. So just I think just that the journey that our team took, and to put another championship on the map for the area for our high school, I think was a pretty cool moment. And I ended up going on to get All-American. I got nominated for All-American that year.
Oh wow, very
So
cool.
that was yeah. I'd probably say that was, not to live in my past, but that was a pretty big highlight. And again, I think getting to play for Virginia, I think was a pretty big highlight. I mean, it's the amount of people I've talked to that you know said that they wish they would love the opportunity to play there, and I was extremely fortunate to get to spend 2.5 years there, at an institution like that. So yeah, I think those are probably two of my highlights. And
Very
that's
cool.
yeah.
Very cool. We've been calling this on the channel. We've been calling it kind of separation season. It's the
Okay.
first time that players are kind of on their own to what they're going to do and how they're going to stay ready for when season starts back up.
Yep.
Have you found any struggle with staying motivated with uncertainty of when we're starting again? Although I would have to say too, maybe the break you had to take with your injury kind of maybe mentally prepared you for something like this in a sense.
Yeah. No, it's I think so. I mean, I think everyone's going to get faced with that challenge, but I think for me, I again saw it as an opportunity. You have uh, you have so much time right now to be. Yeah, you might not be with a team, and you might not be working on tactics or working on. There's obviously an intensity in training that you don't get just training on your own, but getting to maybe refine a few things, a few skills, um, a few tools just on your own. Um, so I just saw it as an opportunity to do that, and to maybe put some priority in a few areas that maybe that I haven't gotten to work on. When we're training, team training, and games and all that stuff. So, yeah, I think I did hit a point where I was, I wouldn't say less motivated, but I was like, all right, well, you know, someone's got to put the work in. It's not going to be anybody else, And um, I think that's a big moment right now for a lot of players. Are they going to take the opportunity to get better, or are they going to sit around and do nothing? So I think there's going to be a big separation, like you're saying, separation season for a lot of players, and I don't want to be on the back end of that. I want to be rising to the top of that, especially with having, I don't feel like I'm done yet, nowhere close to being done yet, and I have more aspirations and higher levels that I want to achieve in the game. So in order to do that, you got to keep working. So yeah, so
Yeah,
that's been my motivation. Is like I have more to achieve. I have more to yeah. So
yeah, it's going to be I think very obvious those first weeks back what guys took this
mm,
time as a time to learn and grow and improve, and what guys took it as a break to just sit around and play Warzone or something.
yeah, right. Which I mean, I definitely have played a couple of rounds of
Oh,
that
I
too.
definitely
But
played too. Yeah.
yeah. But no, yeah. I think so. And yeah, I mean, who really wants it? Who wants it bad enough? And I can tell you, like that desire, that intrinsic, motivation or internal motivation. Like, I feel like some guys either have it or they don't. Some players, guys, girls, they either have it or they don't. And that's when you start to see really that separation, I think, between, amongst players. So,
Absolutely. Obviously, you're still young in your professional career,
yeah.
but you've had a lot of experience. You played in a lot of different teams, saw a lot of different things. What would be, looking back to maybe 15-year-old yourself, what would be your advice to yourself at that point?
Hmm. I would say so. It's actually, so I was told by a coach back when I was around that time, um, that, one of the number one, I guess, reminders to hold on to is like, be fearless, and to, not, don't be afraid of making mistakes. I actually heard that from a couple coaches. One was Ian Barker, and one was TK, obviously a legend in the
Legend.
Chicagoland area. Yeah. But yeah, I think, because I think there was probably a few times where, again, with all the transition, bouncing around as a young player, there was moments of just uncertainty, and you're sitting there wondering, obviously what is next. And as a young player, that can be maybe a little demoralizing at times when there's so many things out of your control. But I think what I would have told myself was like, look, you know, enjoy the moment. And I had people telling me this, so I don't know if too much would have changed, but I had my dad telling me this too. Just enjoy the moment, enjoy every single moment you have, to get to play, and just play with a freedom, and don't necessarily get caught up on, every micro detail that maybe a coach is asking you to do, because I think part of the game, it asks for a creativity from the player.
Hmm.
And nothing against coaches, because I've coached a handful of teams myself, and obviously your coach as well. Um, like, you want to see players bring their own little flair to the game, and not be, um, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for?
Robots.
Yeah, robots, subdued to what's being asked of them. So I think I would probably just told myself, hey, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Just go out and play the game you know how to play, and just know it's all gonna be all right, because someone's gonna appreciate what you bring to the table. Which, again, I think ended up being the case, but there's probably times where I needed, more reminder of that, more encouragement of that. Yeah, so that'd probably be it, and that'd probably be to a lot of the other young, youth players out there, is just enjoy the moment, and just play free. Like, it's a beautiful game, and it's meant to be an expression of creativity and flair and all that good stuff. So, I think you start to see that's the player. That starts to separate players when they play with that kind of freedom. You can tell. So
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's an interesting thing of how much as a player, how much self-worth we put on ourselves based on one coach's opinion of
yeah,
something we
right,
do on the field. So
right.
I do appreciate that advice. Obviously a coach sets, kind of guidelines or style of which to play, but I agree there's a lot of freedom and creativity and, self decision making a player should do,
Yeah,
and it's fun. I mean, that's why players play, right? Is to be able to
right.
make decisions on the field and not be like American football where you just run 5 yards and turn left here. That's not
Exactly. It's
soccer. That's not
all
the fun
scripted. Yeah,
parts.
for sure.
Yeah. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I appreciate you coming on and taking time to tell
Yeah,
your
man.
story. I think
Absolutely.
it's not been necessarily just a walk in the park and straight cut. You've had a lot of different
Yeah.
jumps from place to place, but happy that you've made it to the professional ranks.
Yep.
Excited for you to start out with this new club and hopefully have success there and continue to move up on your journey. So thank
Yeah,
you.
no, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for the opportunity, and yeah, I had an awesome time. So appreciate it. Thanks
Yeah,
for
man.
that.
Have a good
So
night.
yeah, you as well. Take it
All
easy.
right.